evening and welcome to Burn News and Views. I'm your host, Don Burgess. And wow, what a show we have for you tonight. We're talking about Saturday's USATF's Bermuda Games. And I have to say, like, if you weren't there on Saturday, you really missed a first class event that was just completely outstanding. Especially if you love track and field, you would have been completely over the moon. So tonight, our guests are Freddie Evans, president of the Bermuda National Athletics Association. Welcome, Freddie.
Good evening, sir. Good evening, Bermuda. Thank you.
Hazel Clark, director of global sales and business development for the Bermuda Tourism Authority, who might know a thing or two about athletics.
Hi, Don. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. And you'd probably have to be in a coma if you don't know who this next man is. Created all the buzz this weekend by finishing third in the 1500s. The one and only Dage Miners. Welcome, Dage.
Evening, Dawn. Thank you for having me on.
It's a great honor to have you here. And then like the rest of us have to go to work on Monday morning after all that hoopla. We'll start with you, Freddie. Looking back at the meet, what do you think this meant for Bermuda's athletic community?
Well, Don, I appreciate you saying it was a spectacular event. The irony for probably Hazel and myself, and to a lesser extent Dage, is we were so busy, I don't think we enjoyed any of it. The only race I actually saw was Dage's because I was always doing something to make something else happen. But specifically to your question, I think it can be a catapult. It can be something that excels us into the future. That track meet was on a different level. That's a professional meet in a professional environment. Television meet is a whole different animal too, Don. That's just something we had to learn how to do and learn on the fly and learn from our mistakes. But we have young people who are getting ready to go to Carifta. They get to see their heroes like Dage or other athletes they've seen on TV on their home track doing these spectacular things. And that can't help but inspire them to do great things. So I'm very excited. I think we're going to turn the corner and track and field is going to rival other sports as the most popular sport.
Well, I would have to say that was like one of the largest crowds I've seen at the National Stadium, other than for a football match. I mean, the grandstand was packed, and the other side had a pretty good attendance to it.
Well, so, we can say this definitively. It was the biggest crowd in the stadium in 3 years.
Okay.
I'm thinking
back to some of the football qualifying matches. So
after COVID, everything was shut down. So I know I had 2 years. So
yeah, okay. Now, Hazel, you were completely in your element there as a 3-time Olympian and seeing all those fantastic Olympic stars out on the field. And you weren't quite as busy as Freddie, I think, because you got a few bits of moments on the sidelines by the stadium to watch things. What does this mean for Bermuda tourism hosting an event like this and having it on a national TV program in the United States?
Well, it means quite a bit. It means a lot on a lot of levels. First, when you're talking about television, NBC prime time, it doesn't get much better than that. When you look at our commercials and the entire broadcast, it really highlighted Bermuda. The fact that we were able to bring in these world-class athletes in track and field with these big social followings who are talking about their experience in Bermuda and what Bermuda has to offer. Again, great visibility. And then seeing the community come together and the collaboration with the BTA and the BNAA and all of our sponsors to come together to be able to deliver a high-level sports event once again. But people don't know this, with about a 5-week runway. So Nike came up to me afterwards, World Athletics came up to me afterwards, and USA Track and Field, and they said they were absolutely blown away by our capabilities and what Bermuda was able to pull off. And that made me immensely proud. I mean, there's one thing bringing business or helping to facilitate business, but being able to pass it to individuals on the island and collaborate and partner and know that we're going to deliver something on such a high level, that's the thing to be proud of.
Now, this is part of the interesting things that most of the public don't get to see. You know, we had Nike there, we had World Athletics there. what does it mean? And maybe you can share with us a little bit more about some of the other big players that were there. What does it mean to have these players on island at the stadium and seeing us pull off an event like this?
Well, again, it's that visibility, and that if they had a taste of Bermuda. I was talking to one of the head individuals at Nike who actually signed me to my first Nike contract when I was running professionally, and he stood back and he said, "Hazel, I am just so impressed." 1 second, sweetheart. 1 second, baby. Sorry. He was so impressed with what BTA was able to pull together and do and deliver, and he said, "We need to have a conversation about future years and other opportunities to collaborate." There's a spillover effect here. There's opportunities to talk about our federation and a sponsorship with our federation and youth programs and development and other events. So it's very, very, very important, and it was exciting to see.
Now, I'll open this up to both you and Freddie. What are the chances of hosting this event again next year?
Let me answer first, and pardon me, Hazel. I'm just going to jump in because Hazel kind of paid that short shrift. We had this opportunity because we are connected to Hazel Clark. We had a vision of trying to, when I first ran for president, of trying to do another meet down, and we applied for a bronze or silver meet, which is still pushing way out of our weight class. But because of who Hazel Clark is, and because of her connections, and because of her love for Bermuda, she was able to tell people when they inquired, not only can we host this, but the BNAA can do this. And believe me, they can do it. And it would never have happened if Hazel wasn't here. It would have never happened if Hazel didn't lend her credibility to our team and vouch to USATF. I know they can do it. Vouch to Nike. They can handle it. And so we had no other choice but to handle it after that. But I'm just indebted and grateful to Hazel for her belief in us and our her advocacy for us and her love of Bermuda and how she pushes Bermuda first all the time. So we're just very blessed for that relationship. And if we do it again, it's because Hazel Clark is here. Now we proved we can do it, but the linchpin is that lady right there.
Thank you, Freddie. Freddie's too kind. Again, I'm telling you, I mean, they were so impressed with Freddie, the BNAA, Mia, how they were able to facilitate everything. And I mean, there's one thing using connections. Obviously, I've been with Nike most of my career, and USATF was my federation that I ran for. So I do have those connections in world athletics. But being able to introduce them to Freddie, the messages I got was Freddie's amazing. His team is amazing. Wow, they're such a pleasure to work with. They're able to adjust and answer everything that we need. And we got thrown into a live broadcast, and the team responded, and they delivered so well. I mean, again, I'm so proud. And our stands were packed. That was something that Nike and USA Track and Field said was so important. Our fans came out, our community came out to support. And that's why we're in this position. So this was a collaborative effort. This is a community event that we can all be proud of.
Yeah. Now, Dage, you were an extreme beneficiary of having these kind of athletes here and being able to run. What did it mean to you to be able to compete at such a high level of competition?
Yeah, I mean, like I said in my interview, like I'm forever grateful that this opportunity was presented. Racing in Bermuda doesn't at that level. I don't know how many people have had that opportunity, so it was something that I knew I needed to take. And how big the meet was, I almost had to wear two hats as Dage, the fan of athletics, and then Dage, the competitor, because, like you said, a lot of those guys, they're like guys that I'm a fan of and follow their journey. And then I was like, all right, you can't really just fanboy guys that are here. You got to, switch that mask on, and like it's competition time. And seeing the stands filled up like that, despite the weather. Anyone that goes to the stadium, that's a normal day up there. But for a few people, they didn't like it. But to see the stands still packed like that, and Bermudians watching it is good. And like in the past, a lot of the sporting events in Bermuda haven't. I don't want to get in trouble or anything, but it's been different. And at the track we saw a little different. It wasn't like sailing. It wasn't like golf. So to see the BTA to kind of not branch out, but it's encouraging. I hope that it can continue long into the future.
For you, what did it mean to run in front of a home crowd of that size?
Man, a lot. Probably the last time I did that would have been 2012 Carifta, and that was what, 10 years ago. So I
A
was
decade
16. So
ago,
like,
yeah.
now, much older, becoming a man, it meant more. Because I had niece and nephew in the crowd. My family was there watching, so it was a lot different than 10 years ago. And then like one of the best feelings was also walking to the start line and just hearing like a kid that goes to my school saying, "Go, Mr. Minus." I'm like, Jesus, man, like it's surreal. And then after that, like I just went into like not out of body, but I knew I was in physically good shape. I was worried. I just like I can't let the occasion get to me, and like I just had to shut it off and say, you know what, I train her twice a week. It's like it's just a track, you know what I mean? But now I have a bunch of people behind me cheering me on. So yeah, that was it.
Yeah, I see we've got several congratulations coming in for you on the various platforms. Just all of Bermuda is really proud of you on Saturday. I'm almost tearing up here. It's just because it was an emotional thing. Um, but why don't you take us through the race? We had a photo up of you up a little while ago. But as you were like in this position, where was this in the race, and what were you thinking as you were on the heels there in that group and pack?
Yeah, so going through the race, I mean, I'll take you through the day really. So I got up about 8:30, went for like a little shakeout. I live near Francis Pettin, so I went. It was nice to just do about 10-minute, 12-minute jog around Francis Pettin, and like that's where I grew up. So just going into this big of a race, I'm like, all right, I'm back home. Like, let's go Francis Pettin, jog around, clear your mind. And then leading up to it, I wanted to not be too distracted on the race. So watch football. They started off well. Arsenal lost. That made me feel good. And then my team played. And when I last checked the score, it was 4-0. So I was like, you know what, this is gonna be fine. I'm in control right now. And then leading up to the race, like I said, I just wanted to take off this fanboy hat. Like, there's Johan Blake, there's Noah Lyle. I was like, nah, like I'm here too. Like, yeah, these guys are big. They've done tremendous things in the sport, but I'm here at the track for the same reason as they are, and that's to compete. So, once I got into the track, I think I got less nervous because I'm like I said, I'm here. It's my time now. And gun went off. I was worried because I knew that one of the guys was pacing. But I was like, there's no way in all this wind, all of these guys are going to go with the pacer. So like, I just tell myself before any race, like my coach tells me, is like, yo, just get stuck in. Like, just put yourself in a position. Always try to win, regardless of who you're racing with. So first lap went off. It was a little quick, and then like going from 400 to 800, the brakes just went on. We went from like I heard 58 seconds on the first 400, then we went 62, 63. So I'm like, all right, these guys we're not going to run fast today. It's just going to come down to a kick. So then the guy came around. I was like, all right, I didn't want to leave for too long. So the guy, Eric Hope, he took the lead. And I was like, all right, I'm just going to sit on this guy that was now going into 800. So I sat on him. And on that back straight, I just said, you know what, I'm going to go now. Like, I don't know how I'm going to feel 150 meters from now, but I just felt so good at that moment. And I went down the back straight. And then with 110, 120, the Kenyan guy was coming back. But I'm like, I don't know if it's going to come back for me. And I felt for about 2 steps, I was like, hey, I might be able to get this guy. And then I came on the band and like, the guy Amos, who represents Germany, he just went around me. But then last 80 meters, I'm like, yo, just got to hold form, like, third place. And I felt these guys coming on me, but I'm like, hey, just hold, maintain. And then I leaned at the finish line and I saw third. And then, Devon Bean is a head coach for BNAA. He ran onto the field, hugged me, and I was like, yo, like, so everyone jumping up and down, and I'm like, yo, this is it. Like, although I didn't win, I was annoyed I didn't win because I'm like, for about 20 meters there, I'm like, yo, I'm gonna win this. I don't know how I'm acting to win, but I'm gonna win it. And then, but it's all part of the journey and learning, and hopefully next time that opportunity comes, like play some tactics a bit better and hopefully get to win.
Like a truly great athlete, learn from the last race you were in and apply it to the next one. What was it like crossing the line and just hearing the crowd just yelling and cheering and just calling out your name after you turned around and you saw everybody?
Yeah, honestly, like, it's an experience I wish every Bermudian can have. Like, I don't know, I'm big on moments, and like, people running is an individual sport, but like for me, it's really not. Like, you have your team, you have your your group of family, friends, like that are there for you all the time. And like for me, crossing that line was, although it was me crossing the line, it was a moment that I wanted everyone to be a part of. Like to say that it was just me is completely selfish and arrogant. So I'm like, you know what? I crossed at their place. And although it wasn't first, I know that there's multiple people out there that are proud of me for doing that. And I'm like, as long as they're proud, what can I do? I gave my all. So, finishing crossing that line, I was just like, this is for my people that have supported me throughout this whole journey, and I hope continue to support me and know will support me.
All right. So, Freddie and Hazel, what was it like watching Dage race and then get to the finish line and make it onto the podium?
I will say, because I'm also a middle distance runner, well, a former middle distance runner, I had really a connection with what Dage did. I just want to educate the people out there to let them know how disciplined you have to be to work a full-time job and compete on the level that Dage is competing on. To have to sacrifice your time and be so focused. And many times I'm sure he's tired and have to do double workouts. I'm sure he has morning runs and then has to go back to the track and work against people that are getting paid to do this as a full-time job and be able to mix it up with those individuals. That is huge. And, I look back, I started thinking about my career. I was a full-time professional athlete. And so I was focused on running, and I found it challenging to hang in that top echelon, even being a full-time professional athlete. And for him to do that, I was just inspired. Like, I just really went home and said, wow, I just feel that, Dage, you took that moment and you excelled. You rose to the challenge. You ran big. And I am so proud of you. And that's what inspires us to try to attract these types of events and give our local athletes these types of opportunities. You answered the bell, and you're a champion, and we're so proud of you.
Thank you. And I just want to add, like, I know I'm not the first Bermudian that's ever had to balance like being an elite athlete where you want to act professional but you're amateur. And I know I'm not the first nor the last. And like, when I wake up mornings, I do it. I tell myself you're doing it for someone that has walked this path before you that, for whatever reason wasn't supported themselves, or maybe they had a hard break along the line. And then it's also for like, when I go to the track, there's a lot of like 15 and 16-year-olds. And I'm like, if they see me at 26, still out there after college, like, yo, you guys can do it. And hopefully you be better than me. And then if you make it further, you can say, I want to be somewhere where they're like, when I was 16, like this guy would be up there by himself. And like, this is what I wanted to continue. So I don't want to make it seem like it's just me that's only had to balance a full-time job, because I know there's plenty of people that have come before me, and I just want to salute them because they've given me motivation that is tough, but if you put your mind into it, you may be able to accomplish it.
Freddie, did you want to add anything to that?
Certainly. I think Dage and I have been connected since he was about 9. And we've been on a lot of track meets together, and I really respect and love this young man and his family. He's got great family support. His mom and dad are really wonderful people. But to see Dage not only come out of our ranks and go on to college and star at Franklin Pierce and do his thing at the collegiate level and earn his degree, which for me is one of the most important things for all of our athletes. I want to produce more Dage minors, and I'm happy that Dage minors is a pro athlete, but I'm over the moon that Dage minors used his talent to acquire a scholarship, to graduate with honors, to be well respected at Franklin Pierce, and then come back and not only work in Bermuda and help young people, but still stay in track and field and become a role model. So, Dage and my man, we've been together a lot of trips and worked through a lot of things. So I was happy for his success and, just respect him greatly.
Now, Freddie, I just want to, we're concentrating on Dage tonight and honoring him for his accomplishment, but there were other Bermudians that competed on Saturday. Do you want to just let the audience know your thoughts on their performances?
I'll start with Lamont. I salute Lamont because he wanted to be involved, and we really were excited that he put his hat forward. Monty spends a lot of time on the road, and I will not be surprised if he wins 24th of May again, but that 1500 was a hot sprint for him. And so for him to hang in, I salute that and thankful that he participated. Trey Houston, unfortunately, has been battling injuries, and again that hamstring flared up on him in about 70 meters, so he didn't get a chance to finish. We kind of need him to get really healthy and try to do something special at Commonwealth games. Trey is getting to the point where he's starting to look as if this is going to be his last season or not. So I want him to, if he decides he goes out, I want him to be really successful on his way out. And I didn't get a chance to talk to Janai. I know he tweaked something. My fear is that maybe the whole ambiance of everybody and me going on the mic and making a whole lot of noise supporting him might have amped him up a little too much. They tried to give too much in that first jump and tweak something, and so it was only one jump and done. But it was a great to have them there. If we get the chance to do it again, we hope to have some of our collegiate girls involved. Ironically, this is the first time Hazel heard this. I got a letter today from the compliance office of University of Maryland, Baltimore County, saying that if BNAA paid for Caitlin and Katora and Sakasia to come here, it would have been a violation. The school could send them, and maybe next year they can budget for that, but the organization couldn't pay for it. So they didn't get a chance to come, but maybe next year we can. And that would have been a great thing for them too, especially going into Carifta to be against those world-class athletes that have been awesome.
If I can just stop you for a second, and just so we can explain to the audience the collegiate rules on paying for trips and things and violations as they're supposed to be amateurs. You can just explain that.
Three young ladies I mentioned are on collegiate scholarships at the University of Maryland, Baltimore County. Before you do anything that might violate their scholarship, you always check with the compliance office. And the compliance office was kind of slow in getting back to me, so we canceled those girls out early. But the end result was they were saying that the school had to budget for them to participate. We couldn't bring them in. That wouldn't have been considered national representation because it wasn't a international meet. It was an invitational, a pro invitational. And that's why you always have to go through compliance and make sure you're doing the right thing, because you don't want anyone to lose eligibility for an episode.
Right. Because I did hear some people early on complaining that, we had 4 males competing in the meet, but there weren't any of our top female athletes. And that explains the reason why.
Absolutely. And Sakari wanted to be here too, our high jumper. And actually, she's just a really caught form. She just jumped 182, new national record. Georgia lost out Hazel. Nickel State is taking advantage, but she's doing her thing. So we're really happy for her. And, it just didn't work out for them to be here, but soon come.
Right. So besides for Dage's performance, what was one thing that really stood out to you from the rest of Saturday? And we'll start with Dage. And since you can't pick yourself, what else would you say stood out?
That's a good question. I'd probably say just like the professionalism of the meet. I know in Bermuda, our biggest critics are Bermudians. So I heard people, Bermudians are running, so it's on TV, it's not gonna be on time. They can't do this, they can't do that. And then to see all the volunteers, the Bermudians, even to see like the assistant starters, like my cousin Janine and Burpee, like I'm a Bermudians doing that. Like all the other officials and volunteers were Bermudians. So like to see that, it's like, okay, like stop that noise. Like we can host large events with all people and produce. And so to see that and to see people in the US tell me it was well run on the TV, like stadium looked good. It was like, to show that with volunteers, you could put on a good meet, and all it takes is some people that are dedicated to the sport. So to see that, and even to see like people like Brian Wellman helping out and past athletes, is like, track and field, anyone that's involved in track and field knows like it's a tight-knit community. So for me to see all of those people helping out, as volunteers and important jobs, it just was like, it was a bit surreal. So yeah, that stood out to me.
Yeah, I almost thought about getting a picture of Brian and angling it such as he's helping out in the triple jump area, catching his little plaque memorial from the side and him down, raking sand to make it nice for other people. But you're absolutely right. If it wasn't for the army of volunteers that event wouldn't have run as smoothly as it did. So a big shout out to them and for the BNAA
Absolutely.
for helping getting that organized. Hazel, what was your standout event other than Dage?
My standout
Event or impression?
Okay, my standout impression by far was the community coming together, and it was really every aspect of it, from the parents hustling their children in and watching the children be introduced to the sport with the Run, Jump, Throw Clinic. Thank you, Butterfield, for sponsoring that. The Athene Fastest Kid on the Rock, seeing those children compete and be so proud and have the trophies in their hands. And then just looking up in the stands and seeing our community come together and be so excited and be so into the event and know that this was truly our event. I have to also give credit to Bermuda Tourism Authority, my team at the BTA. I mean, we were like the ultimate relay. I mean, I would pass them something and they'd take the baton and move it to the finish line. And Deshae Thompson and the experience team and our entire team really did a great job of building out that VIP area and making our event stand out from the rest on a global stage, and that's important. So those are the things that hit me as I stood there. It was so special. And then, of course, being able to give Freddie and Mia a plaque, a appreciation plaque for their contributions. I mean, they were up morning, nights, working tirelessly to make this happen. It would not have happened without them. And they were amazing partners. And this has just been a great journey. So,
okay, Freddie, for you, what was your standout impression or event?
Well, I would have said that Hazel kind of stole what I would have said about the fastest kid on the rock. Thank you, Athene. Thank you so much, CEO Natasha Corsi, to believe in that. One of the last things she said on Saturday, anytime you're helping children, I'm there. And that's what we do. So I'm really excited about that. To have so many Olympians involved from the U.S. as well as our Olympians, Brian Wellman, Xavier James, Devon Bean, Rib Simons, all contributing to make sure that Run, Jump, and Throw worked and this meet would work. But ironically, someone asked me today, did I enjoy Saturday? Did I enjoy the meet Saturday specifically? And I was like, I didn't see it. I was too busy running around. I didn't see anything. But it's great that it's done. It went way beyond any of my expectations. Don, you worked in media for a long time, so you'll appreciate it was a learning experience to understand how to do things in a television environment. 2-hour window of 15 events and make it happen quickly and make it happen on time. So it was good. We got it done. So I'm thrilled. I'm glad it's over, but I am thrilled that we were successful.
I'm glad you mentioned the Athene fastest kid on the rock. I really enjoyed watching those races, and I don't remember the young boy's name who's in the 14-15 race that had to have the restart, and then he fell down and tumbled on the track, and the crowd was just yelling for him to get back up, and he was able to and finish first in the race.
Young Mr. Trot, he was rolling, stumbling, bumbling, and got right back up. But he was excited, and I'm happy for him. I'm happy for all the young people. So it was a good time.
Okay. Our 30 minutes has gone by, so I want to give each of you one last chance to say something. It might be a thank you, it might be an impression, just your last thoughts on Saturday and maybe what the future might hold. So we'll start with Hazel.
Okay, well, I guess I want to speak to the community. First, I want to thank you for coming out to support, for filling those stands, for your just words of encouragement, for jumping in, from the volunteers to the parents who brought their children out, to our sponsors, to the BTA team and the BNAA team, everyone that played a role on every level. Thank you so much. This event belonged to Bermuda. It was truly a collaborative community effort, and it is a display of what we can do when we work together. We need to continue to work together. I want to also recognize BGA for giving us, hydration and food, Digicel, who was our wireless provider, and of course, Goslings for being the entertainment sponsor. Thank you so much for all that you did to make this event a success. And I hope that the community takes this as, an opportunity for us just to continue to build on our sports credibility we have great momentum and a lot of exciting things on the horizon.
All right, thank you. Freddie?
Well, I want to associate my comments with Hazel and thanking the community. We could do some outreach and thank Grotto Bay. They were excellent hosts, and they were the host hotel for the games. But for me personally, and being reflective, it's really important for me to thank all of my volunteers. If I started to name names, I would be remiss because I couldn't cover everybody. But I kept stressing to our people that we are part of a television show. We are the extras. We're the backstage crew. We're the sound people. We're the audio people. We're all the people that make stuff happen, but we're not going to be seen. But I continue to thank you. So to the ladies in the call room, to the kids with the basket carriers, to our track officials, our starters, our amazing equipment team who had to move hurdles within 10 minutes and get it set up and move blocks and make it happen. The hostess in the stands, everyone who was associated with the event, as much as people offer congratulations to me, that all should go to them for making this happen. And I'm indebted. It was a success. It was a big success. And it's because of their efforts. So I'm thankful.
All right. And Dage, the man of the weekend. We'll let you bask in a little bit more glory.
So yeah, I just like to thank, my support. I don't think I need to name any of them because they truly know who they are. And I hope that I know they will continue to support me. I hope that I will continue to make them proud. But me as, like I said, fan and track athlete, I just hope that events like this continue throughout track and field. And also I hope that other sports can also, have these elite events and athletes. And then I just hope that us as Bermudians can continue to come together. I don't know, we've all seen, recent weeks, so it's been a bit chaotic. So I just hope that, seeing someone like me, a young black male in the community running, like, man, there's a lot of kids out there that need love, they need guidance. Like, if anyone's out there, like, I'm here, I could resonate with you in some aspects. I may not in all, but sometimes a lot of our young men need someone to talk to. And like, if you know someone that is going maybe down the path, like, you can hit me up. I'll talk to him, and I can't fix it all, but I'll give my all to limit this madness that's going on in Bermuda. So that's just me.
Thank you very much. We want to thank our guest tonight, Hazel Clark, who's the Director of Global Sales and Business Development for the Bermuda Tourism Authority, Freddie Evans, the President of the Bermuda National Athletics Association, and Dage Miners, paraeducator at SANS, but this weekend, 1,500 meter hero. Thank you all for being here tonight.
Thank you, Don.
And on behalf of, you're welcome. On behalf of Burn News, I've been your host, Don Burgess, and as always, have a beautiful evening.